Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the revision assignment for Project 1, the peer review. And before I get to the 9 questions in this part, I'd like to make some general remarks about what I have found helpful in giving and receiving feedback. Um, the first part that I find really helpful in giving feedback is to read the entire rough draft. I understand how it's tempting to immediately get into, you know, making corrections or giving feedback. However, I find that reading the entire rough draft first helps give me a big picture view of the draft. That way, I have a better idea of how one part relates to another, and that viewpoint, that perspective helps me to give feedback that relates the little picture of a paragraph or a thesis statement to the whole of the rough draft. Let's see. Second big point that I find helpful in giving and receiving feedback is to make the feedback about the writing. So if I say something like, uh, if you want to, show the reader this, if you want to approach things this way, then you know this isn't going to be so effective for readers. Or if you don't want to do this in order to keep your reader engaged, because comments like those two make the feedback about the writer rather than about the writing. And when there's feedback that's personalized in that sort of way, the person on the receiving end of the feedback is much less likely to go along with it. So that's another big helpful thing I've found in giving and receiving feedback. And this next point, using questions, phrasing your feedback in the form of questions. It's what I do to soften things, to soften what I have to say it in a more gentler way, in a way that shows that I'm not the expert. I mean, this could be what you're trying to say. Maybe I think you're trying to say that this is how your evidence relates to your claims. Well, I think it is. I mean, could you tell me if I'm wrong about that? That helps readers, that helps the writer to see that the person giving feedback is not an expert. It makes things a lot less tense or anxiety inducing, because I know some of us experience anxiety when it comes to giving and receiving feedback. And also, feedback is about avoiding telling the writer what to do. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that. If you want this to happen, then do this. Because what we're trying to accomplish is a lot like what we're trying to accomplish in the discussion board, which is a conversation about the work we do in English 101, and conversations that involve telling people what to do, like do this, like if avoid that, uh, don't tend to be that effective in my experience. Third point about giving feedback in the form of a question, it's really helpful for grammar issues. Like I know there's something going on here grammatically that doesn't work and that impairs what a writer author is trying to say. I don't know exactly what that grammar term is. Well, that's okay. It's better to expand the grammar content, the content about the grammar issue that impairs readability. Because we've all had some unfortunate experiences involving grammar and grammar correction in school, and I really doubt that many of us enjoy having our grammar corrected. So there are those 3 points about phrasing feedback in the form of a question. Last major point, Be specific. If you're going to say something about your peers' primary research or their secondary research, if you're going to make a claim about your feedback, it helps to back that up. Like, hey, I couldn't really see how this secondary research connected to your primary research. Is that what you meant? So that can be helpful too. So now on to these questions. And I'm going to write about or talk about rather, what I've found helpful when it comes to giving and receiving help feedback. So number one, that's about drawing the reader in. You might look at some newspaper articles, whether online or traditional media or magazine articles, and see what draws you to the articles that have enticing titles. Are they brief? Are they using colorful language? Do they hint at something within an issue or topic that readers consistently are drawn to? These are questions I might ask. Number two, a large part of writing an introduction is about preparing the reader for everything that follows. So for a profile about a group, as we're doing in Project 1, I would keep things clear, and which is easier said than done. I would look for whether my introduction has an excess of words. Does it go on for a while? When I can state things more clearly and frame the rest of the profile in a way that entices the reader rather than, oh, this seems like a lot, this seems really murky, I don't know what I'm getting into. Make it as engaging as possible by using active language. I am part of this group. I've been going to this group for X number of years. Colorful language, much like the title, the comments about the title in question 1. 3, connects with 2. Does this make me want to keep reading? If I find that if I can get someone to read the beginning of my paper, whether it's a profile, an essay, if the reader will go along with the beginning, then that makes everything else that much easier. And the second part of 3 speaks to what I mentioned above. Be specific when you're making claims. If I say that something's like this is just, I felt like I really didn't know what I was going into or why I should read what I'm reading. Here's why. Give a specific reason. Primary evidence. Primary research. For this and number 5 and number 6, I realized that I've got my own preferences for how I like evidence to be presented, for how much evidence I like, for how the primary and secondary evidence relate to one another. So that's important to keep in mind when giving feedback. Are these preferences of mine gonna be preferences for everyone else? Well, probably not. So consider that. Now I'm going to go down to question 7. 7 also relates to 4, 5, and 6. Again, if you're going to say add something new, some new visual or audio file, be specific about what, be specific about why. I want to see, video about this ballerina group you're in. This is why. I want to see, what's going on. I want to see how your story you're telling about the group connects with what other people might see objectively. So a video can help reinforce a narrative like that. The same for video and audio files. If it's a more audio-related group, then audio makes more sense. If it's more strictly visual, like a group for sign language, then I would go with the visual for sure. 8 and 9. Getting sidetracked is totally natural. It's going to happen. I do it. Every writer I does. I know it happens. It just happens. And in a profile, in an essay, in a story, if I feel like I'm getting sidetracked as a writer, then I reverse outline what I've said. And by reverse outline, I mean I take the profile and then I write an outline based on the profile. Normally we would go from outline to profile, but going from profile to outline can help show where we got off track and why. Key takeaway helps to have one. Because the key takeaway or takeaways can connect the parts of the body of the profile to the thesis statement. They can connect the thesis statement to the body of the paragraph, body of the profile. They can connect the primary research, the secondary research, and they can connect your opinion, your stance on your group, your narrative to your research, to your thesis statement. So a key takeaway, if there's something definite that a reader will get out of it, then that helps the reader experience resolution. We all like resolution. Oh, yes, my car is repaired. Yes, this damn flu is over with. We all like it, whether it's about some neutral or positive or negative experience we're in the middle of. We all appreciate it, and that includes me as a writer and a reader, and I think that also might include you as a writer and a reader. So the key takeaway is very much about resolution. So yeah, if you're finding that your paper might not have a clear takeaway, well, it may be worth looking at the thesis statement you've written in the introduction, because that could tell you that I need to narrow this down so there's a more specific focus for my overall paper, and that way there's more likely to be a specific takeaway for the reader. All right, I hope that you found this little video helpful. By all means, leave me comments, positive, negative, or otherwise, and I look forward to meeting you in this week's revision workshops.